Right, hi guys, welcome back to our video again. So today we got to do something with the front suspension. So the fork is a bit soft by default, so when you squeeze on the front brake, especially on a emergency brake, or you jam the brake a little bit too hard, the fork actually almost bottom out, and then you get that very irritating nose dive experience. It's not comfortable and it's not safe in terms of handling. So what we're gonna do today is to change the fork oil to a heavier weight, and also we bought a adjustable preload top cap, and then we gotta replace it and stiffen up the spring and see how it alters the whole ride experience. So first off, we sort of like keep the bike upright, and then later on we gotta jack up the bike. We gotta remove all these handlebars, mudguard, wheels in order to draw the fork out. So let us begin. First off, we find a flat spot underneath the engine to jack up the bike. And this is a simple car scissors jack. You can clearly see from here to here, this is how much static slack the bike is having because of the weak spring. We also took out the big foot or the extender, so we can slot this block in as a fail-safe in case it topples. So this one can block it. I've lifted up the front fork. You can see it's moving freely. We gotta remove this handphone stand first and then take out the handlebar. So same thing, remove this plastic covers. Okay, and then just unbolt this bolts. And we remove this clamp and also take out the handlebar and place it somewhere like that. So you have full access to the top of the handlebar. Okay, this is basically a cover. We'll remove this cover and then we'll loosen these bolts. So the bolt is actually locked to the cartridge or whatever you call it later on, because we want to swap out this cap later on. So it's easier to loosen it now than later, because the triple clamp is holding on to the fork. Once you loosen it, it's circular, so it's very hard to hold. Okay, just loosen will do on both sides. You don't need to unscrew this because you still need to take out the fork. We have loosened both ends. Now we will move downwards to remove the mudguard, the brake, and then followed by the wheel. Okay, to remove the mudguard is quite simple. It's just Allen keys. You can clearly see that the mudguard is quite dirty. We will probably wash it later on. So now we gotta remove the brake caliper, which is hinged by these two bolts. Okay, it's a size 12, very tight. Okay, these two screws are too tight, so we sip in some oil. The oil trick did works, so now it's easier to break free. Okay, since our caliper here is still stuck inside, probably because of the edge here of the brake pad. So now we gotta remove the wheel, the front wheel, and then see whether we can pull it out. It allows us to have more space to pry open the brake pad. So we set the wheel free, and then let's see if you can pry this thing open. So finally took it out, and then probably we want to wash this because it's very filthy. Okay, you can see that the piston is really dirty, so we will use a brake cleaner to just clean it off. We will hook or hang the the caliper here instead of leaving it dangling because it's very strained to the brake line. This thing is quite heavy though because it's a full metal construction. So if you're using a rubber line, definitely it will affect. But if you're using a steel braided hose, it's still okay. But just be safe lah. Just hook it here. Next thing you want to do is to loosen this top cap. Just now we loosened this bolt, which is tied to the rod. Because same thing, once you take it out, you need to find a clamp to hold it in order to twist it open. But now since it's in place, it's easy. So we will just loosen this top yoke a little bit. And then we use a super huge spanner. If I'm not wrong, this is size 36 to loosen the cap. Okay. Don't need a lot of force, it's pretty easy to unscrew it. So just loosen it. In, we clean the fork bottom part where you don't usually see it when it's installed. Okay, so now we gotta release this top yoke or this top cover from the fork. Previously we loosened it, so it shouldn't be too hard to twist it open. We stand by a cup to hold the fork oil. So we're gonna pour it out slowly. This all out first. Okay, we pump the fork a little bit. So this is the right fork, the area where the brake is. So it's about a cup full. We will indicate this. Okay, so this is the right oil. This is the left side. It's about a cup full. Both are all more or less the same. We also kept the fork upside down, so to let it drip out a little bit more. In the meantime, we just take a break and then we wash this before we fill in and we are good to go. So the standard fork oil is weight 10. We are putting in weight 15 to make it heavier, and then the capacity should be 221, and then the level should be 75 mm above the fork limit. Okay, now we are back after a break. Preload adjustable cap that we have that we gotta install, and then we got ourselves a paper clip, and then we just mark it at 75 mm. Later we just dip it in and then give it a shot. Okay, so it has a syringe to measure the 222 ml. And of course we got ourselves the 15 weight fork oil. So now we gotta assemble this and then we gotta pump out the fork oil. Okay, so this is the right side fork, because you see there's this brake caliper holder. Okay, so we will put the washer and the spacer, and then followed by the cap. So we will tighten this cap here to the maximum that we can, our best ability, and then we will tighten it further off later, so we get an empty cap. We got to use this as a reference point. Okay, we open up this fork oil. Okay, and then we got to use this syringe to sort of like measure it, and then put it in this cup. It should be almost level. 150. So this is 220. So this is more or less about the same. Okay, so we will pump this into this fork now. hear no bubble sound, so it's more or less done then. Okay, not sure you can see the oil level inside, but okay, so we got it. And then now we just need to lock up this fork. We apply some oil on the fork seal before we lock it back. So mainly we hand tighten it, okay, until uses a spanner to tighten it. So at least it doesn't leak oil. That's the first stage before we move on to tighten it onto the fork. Okay, so now we got all the item already wash, refilled with oil. So now we gotta install it back. The key thing is to ensure that this part here, this top part, is aligned with earlier on. Earlier on when we took out, it's like that. So almost flush to the top yoke, so we just keep it. And then we will tighten one of the bolt to hold it in place first, because we gotta make adjustment later. And then we will leave the top one loose because you still have to adjust this. If you tighten this thing, basically you will strip it. So just keep the bottom tight. Okay, so we push the preload into the second marking. Then we will repeat on the next side. Okay, we'll put back the clamp. So the front is really much steeper. So now we got to do a test ride on it to see everything is functioning. So after installing the preload and the front suspension oil, so when you squeeze in the brake, it doesn't sink in or bottom out, and then it gives you a much firmer and more assuring kind of feel. And it also eliminates the rear end from topping over, so it enhances the whole braking and gives you a lot more confidence. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video. See you on the next one. Bye bye.